Okay, so I think we are running again and up and running again, and okay, I'm going to be doing some MMA stuff. Bear with me, people. Please bear with me. Been crazy. I hope everyone's had a good summer the last couple of weeks. I don't have lots of time on this video, so I'm going to cut straight to the point I want to make. Everyone seemingly in the last maybe 3 weeks, there's a debate going on, and it seems to be there's this discussion where people are on one side or the other, and the discussion is pretty much based on, is Daniel Bryan being buried, and other people saying yes he is, and other people saying no he's not. And I think since SummerSlam, since the ending of SummerSlam, people have been very, very opinionated about that. And if you saw my review, which you should check out to give me more views, if you saw my review, I said they set up a feud between Randy and Daniel Bryan very, very well. They've added some legs to it, so it's not just another Bryan Orton match. So I'm intrigued to see Bryan chase him, and they've set up some obstacles that Bryan has to overcome. And seemingly they have taken this modern day version of the Corporation back in 98-99, with Bryan playing the role of Steve Austin. And I think after the first Raw afterwards, somebody on here, and I believe, Truth Slayer was the first person who said it, that they didn't really present Bryan very well. He's not being presented as an equal now. He's not given his time to talk. He's not, Truth Slayer was one of the first people to say it. And at first I wondered if this was one of those things where a very popular YouTuber says something and people follow suit. And I will usually give things a few weeks because I need a body of work to look at. Then the next week, similar kind of thing where he's left laying again, and people are saying he needs a reason to chase the heel. The face always needs a reason to go after the heel, because if he's always beating him up all the time, then what's the point? There needs to be something where he about gets the upper hand and something happens and he has to go and almost start over but go after him again. And the next week the same thing happened. He's left laying, and then I watched this week's episode of Raw, and again, I can kind of see where people are coming from when they wonder if Bryan is being buried. Now, I wouldn't necessarily use the term buried straight away, because to me, if you want to talk about a burial for me is putting someone on one of the most embarrassing losing streaks, trashing him in commentary, just really demeaning the person's value. And they haven't gone that way with Daniel Bryan, although they have at times, put some kind of anchor to him to hold him back, whether it was Michael Cole's commentary and the way they kept burying him in the comments then, and they're saying things in the comments that they did. And they've always kind of, had something, but then he kind of moved away from it. And I felt from about May to about August, he was getting one of the best pushes I've seen him get, where they were letting him do whatever the hell he wanted. He was getting over with his matches. He was getting over on the microphone. He was doing very, very, very well, getting the reactions that I think a potential top babyface needs. I think he comes off really, really well in Total Divas. Actually, funnily enough, I watched that. He comes off really, really well in that show, to tell you the truth. Comes off as a nice, down-to-earth, regular guy. As just a likable personality, someone you could probably hang out with. And now we go to Raw, and I was watching Raw again, and it was the same ending. He's left laying, and you watch the match with him and Big Show, where Big Show doesn't want to do the match, and they're doing it, and Bryan is trying to land offense Big Show, and Show's not really taking much of it, and it makes Bryan look a bit out of place, and he would, considering he's in there with someone that's 7 foot and Bryan is 5'9", and it doesn't help his cause. And again, the image just doesn't look very good, and I know that this has spurred on this discussion online, on YouTube, on wrestling forums. I know even on Meltzer's podcast now, there's somewhat going there, that Bryan is being buried. And I know LV4545, if you haven't seen his video, it's a short video and I'll put it in the description, he talks about it too. And I'm going to put it in there, and I want to see what people think. I want to know what my subscribers think. I want to know what fellow YouTubers think, what Anwar thinks of all people. I want to know what he thinks. I want to know what you think, Kyle. I want to know what Trencher, all of you, I want to know what your opinions are on this, because I'm very interested. Now, if you look at what this is similar to, It's similar to the corporation angle that I mentioned before. And therein is why I wonder where they're going with him. And a lot of people have got this wait and see approach. But think about this. Stone Cold Steve Austin would not be booked or presented in the same way that Daniel Bryan is. You might kind of place him in a role where he's got lots of obstacles, where he's kind of placed as an underdog in some ways, and he's got to fight diligently to get to where he needs to get to. But Austin was presented as someone that was very tough and also very smart, and it was a very back and forth between him and the corporation, where Austin had his weeks where he outsmarted them, but there was always something at the end that Austin had to overcome the next week, like when he stunned Vince or something, and then they were like, right, for that you're going to be the first man in the Royal Rumble if you want your title back, and in addition to that, I'm putting $100,000 bounty on your head, so everyone is going to want to throw you out. Good luck. Obstacles like that he had to overcome, which were quite believable and you could get into because you got into the fight of, getting through these obstacles. Daniel Bryan, thus far, and it's only been a few weeks in this role, has not been presented like that. And that is the one thing that does make me question what they're doing with him. Now, what happens when What happens now when Bryan goes in there with Randy and he doesn't win? And what happens if he goes in there with a Triple H, which is very much on the horizon, and Hunter beats him, and we have a situation like what we did with CM Punk in 2011, where he is extremely hotter than he's ever been. You've got so much potential with the storyline, so much potential to go with him and other people as a result, and they didn't kind of go there, and they went somewhere else with it, and Punk was still very popular, but he wasn't what he could have been. And this looks like it could be the case with Daniel Bryan. And again, I compare what they're doing with him to what they did with Steve Austin, and can you imagine Steve Austin allowing himself to be booked like that? Can you imagine Steve Austin being presented like that? Watch the promo, and Bryan isn't even really allowed a witty comeback or a comeback at all. He hits a great line about Stephanie being more masculine than Randy or something like that. And then when Hunter cuts in, he's not even allowed to get the final word in. Whereas I know back in the day, when Austin was put in the same situation, and I mean both of them are very good promos by the way. When Austin was put in that same situation, and then the Vince McMahon tried to cut in, it wasn't left there. Austin would come back with something. And Bryan is not always given the last word, and it's just interesting things like that make me think. And you compare it to Steve Austin and how he's booked, and you compare it to The Rock and how he was booked, and it does make me question if they are burying him, and you can make the argument that they are. So I'm going to stop. Kind of a rushed video, kind of a quick video. I really want to hear what people think. Compare this to other people in similar storylines before. Even go out of wrestling and look at similar storylines like in films and in television. Is Bryan being presented in a way that is beneficial to him and to the company, or is he not? And in a way I can agree with people that think that. Now I won't go completely overboard and say, oh, they've trashed him, but I can see signs of him being presented as out of their league without it being a full-on, final nail in the coffin burial. Anyways, I'm Buff Been Stuffed. Nice to do videos. Gonna do another one very soon. Let me know what you think. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, share, like, comment. I want to know what people think. If you believe he's being buried, you let me know what you think. Do you like how he's being used? How do you think he's faring? Anything you feel like, write it. I will definitely reply to it. Good luck, take care, peace, and have a good one.